Hi, it's Miranda Miller with Get Remote Ready. I'm joined today by Jenny Halasz from JLH Marketing. How are you, Jenny?
I'm great, Miranda. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm glad to have you with us. We're going to talk a little bit today about what businesses are going through given the coronavirus pandemic, sort of some industry-wide trends, and also how people can be adjusting and pivoting right now to either set themselves up for success in future or even just survive in the moment right now. So where are you coming from, Jenny?
I am in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is on the east coast of the United States.
Cool. And we talked just a little bit about what your clients are seeing. Can you tell us who you work with and what they're noticing right now with COVID-19 business interruptions?
Sure. Well, the great thing for me is that I work with a lot of different types of businesses. As a consultant, I have worked with everything from a very small business all the way up to enterprise level. NVIDIA is one of my former clients. So I've had the opportunity to work with some really large multinational brands and then also some just kind of small business local endeavors as well. So at the moment, I have a hospital system who I pretty much haven't heard from in 3 weeks because they are so busy. We're just on pause there. But one of the suggestions that I made to them that I think they may take me up on is shifting. So one of the things that hospitals always have trouble with, and this is just one example, right, is getting content that their marketing teams are producing approved and reviewed by the physicians.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, all the elective procedures have been canceled. So all of the general surgeons are sitting on their hands. So I
So
said,
this is a great time.
oh, this is a great opportunity. Let's write a ton of content and get it over to them and get it reviewed so we can get it up on the site. Even if we're in a freeze right now in terms of putting new content on the site, we can do it later. We can at least get those pieces of content ready to go and reviewed so that we can get them up.
And
So
that's a great strategy for those who have people who maybe could be doing something, but they're just not quite sure what to do. For people who are newly working from home, what kind of tips do you have for them? Some people are trying to juggle kids and animals and work now all from home,
yeah, some people like me.
like you.
I have two kids, so yeah, I've been homeschooling a fourth grader and seventh grader in addition to trying to do my job. Fortunately, we have no pets other than a lizard, and he doesn't require much more than some food every couple of days. Um, but it's true. I mean, everybody is really slammed. I had a conversation with another client about an hour ago, and he was feeding his baby. I mean, he was actually burping his baby, his newborn baby, while he was on the call, and he was like, "I'm really sorry about this." And our other colleague said, "You know what? I really love this. I love seeing everybody's real self.
Yes.
And
And
meeting
these are the
everybody's
things,
kids and dogs." And
yes. And this, I think the longer it goes on, the more we'll see that people
yeah, and
go on with their lives.
I think you could just kind of embrace that. I mean, there are certainly some things about working from home that you want to make a little bit more regimented just so that you get work done. And I'll just plug it right now. I actually wrote an article about this that's on my blog at jlh-marketing.com. Um, my tips for working from home, given that I've been doing this since 2006, so definitely not new to it. New to trying to work from home and have my kids popping in every 5 minutes, though.
Right. And how do you manage that? I have one 12-year-old here right now. He's pretty self-sufficient. Yours are a bit younger than mine.
Well,
Do you have
mine
a
are 9 and
schedule?
13,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm lucky that I don't have a newborn baby on my shoulder like my colleague does, but it's mostly just I've tried to set them up with as much information as I can. We draw really strong ground rules and boundaries. Like if my door is closed, you don't open it. And if you ask my children, when are you allowed to bother mom when she's got the door closed, the answer is if I'm bleeding or on fire.
Which is a good rule for parenting in general.
They've been fairly well trained that that if my door is closed, you don't interrupt unless you're bleeding or on fire,
Nice.
or something is on fire. That would be another reason to bother me. But for the most part, I think it's really important to create boundaries and signals for your kids. So one friend of mine who their child is younger is using a piece of red construction paper or a piece of green construction paper in the door or on the desk to indicate to the child when it's okay to bother, when it's okay to ask a question, and when, you know, daddy is on a call. So that's worked for him. So I think you just have to kind of figure out what works for you, and then also be ready to go with the flow a little bit, because we're all struggling together.
And we just touched briefly there on things that people can be focusing on right now. Do you have some other areas of productivity that people could sort of work on right now that maybe they didn't have time for before?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just have to figure out what are the goals that you're going to set for yourself when things come back online. If you are a small business that has been shut down because you're non-essential, can you make a shift to e-commerce? If you can't make a shift to e-commerce, can you make a shift to creating content that you'll be using to generate an email list that then you can remarket to when you're back in business? Just do anything that you can to kind of keep things running, keep building that lead funnel, and then, you know, think about if there's something you can do to help too. For example, Haynes Corporation is based here in North Carolina, and they announced I think a couple of weeks ago now that they were going to not make as many socks and shirts and underwear anymore, and make masks instead that can be used, you know, an actual surgical quality mask that can be used for the hospitals and the healthcare workers on the kind of front lines of this. And you know, I've been spending a lot of my spare time sewing fabric masks that are being handed out to hospice and nursing homes and anybody else that needs them, so that they can donate their stock of regulation surgical masks up to the healthcare workers. You just have to find how can you be productive and how can you help. I think it really helps. It really helps me to kind of keep my mind off of things and this really pretty scary time that we're in. I try not to think about it too much and do something productive instead.
That's great. And I will say, just for the audience, so Jenny is also one of the Get Remote Ready consultants who is participating in some office hours, which are completely free. It's a live video chat that people can drop in, ask questions. We have some online business and remote work experts also available in a marketplace, and Jenny's offering her services at quite a discount to help people get set up with their remote work and also marketing. And I think that's so important right now. It's so noisy, but also media consumption has just completely spiked because everyone's at home. Right. What should people be doing to adjust their messaging right now?
This is a tricky one. You can adjust it depends on what industry you're in. If you're in an industry like grocery or any kind of essential service where you could say, you know, hey, we're still open, we're still helping, contact us, let us know what your situation is. You know, that's something that I think you can, you know, do some messaging around COVID-19 without seeming opportunistic. And then I've also seen some really bad examples of companies that are, you know, if you're fast food and you're, you know, trying to sell the COVID-19 burger. Thank goodness nobody's trying to do that. But if you're trying, if you're trying to, have the cure, you want the cure for COVID-19, come have a taco. Like, no, that's not going to work right now. So I did see some good messaging that somebody used that was more of a stuck at home or dealing with kids or playing more to the symptoms, not of the disease, but of the crisis, that it is a little bit more accessible to people.
Yeah, and I think that is actually, there are those industries that are just exploding right now because people are at home and they're isolated. And if you can offer something in a helpful way, that's useful.
Yeah.
But you're right. I remember with Hurricane Sandy, seeing Hurricane Sandy sales. Don't ever do that, guys. Don't do that.
No, bad
It's
idea.
never good.
Really bad idea. And and do what you can to like make things easier for people. I mean, it's a really small example, but I am completely addicted to Candy Crush. I still play it. I'm on level 4,000 something. I'm not gonna, we're just not going there. I've wasted many hours of my life on that game. But I love it because it kind of gets me out of my own head. Well, they did all this week. It was 24 hours of unlimited lives. So anybody who wanted to play could play. And that had kind of two benefits. On the one hand, it gave them, goodwill to towards everybody who plays. And then on the other hand, it gave them even more time that we're sitting behind our screens captive to their advertising.
Right.
It's
mutually beneficial.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of companies offering things right now that I think people could take advantage of. I know Canva is offering a free month of their pro version. Adobe Suite, I believe too, the whole Creative Suite you can use free for 2 months right now.
Yeah.
Of other tools that are offering COVID-19 related promotions that people could use to maybe help them with their content?
Well, I mean, pretty much everything in the telecommunications space has some level of free or discounted. And that may be something to take advantage of right now while you're home and you've set up this kind of personal video room for yourself, right? I mean, I notice your nice screen there behind you. That's brilliant. It creates a really nice looking space. And
exercise machine.
Nice. That's perfect.
I moved it in here because I can't even go for a walk right now. So
that's completely perfect. Right? Yeah. So my point though is, like, if you've never tried video before, maybe now's the time to try creating some video content. If you never have time to write, now's the time to write out some stuff that's evergreen. It doesn't have to be related to the crisis that we're in. In fact, people are probably sick of reading about that.
Right.
So give them something else to chew on. Write a white paper, write an ebook. There are just so many opportunities right now for anybody who has a little extra time on their hands. I know I drove by one of my favorite takeout places today, and it's a Mediterranean place. Everybody loves their pita bread. They make homemade pita bread. And I know their sales are down, even for people can go and pick up to-go orders curbside, but their sales are down just kind of in general for that. So they've been making batches of pita bread and packaging them in plastic bags, and they're selling them out in front of the store. You just drive up, and $5 you get a bag of pita bread.
Nice.
So,
it works.
Yeah, they're getting, lots of extra cash on hand, and they're pivoting in some way to say, okay, what are the things that we can offer the community that we know they want, but they maybe don't know they want? So let's just get right out here in front of them and sell it. So I think that's just a lot of what people need to be doing And then if you don't have something like that, so I have another client that sells and rents portable restroom trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, they are super, super busy right now because all of these different companies, corporations, energy plants, all of these essential services, construction, they all need spaces where their people can, wash their hands more often than usual, and where they can separate really key staff from the rest of the team so that they're not running the risk of infection through the restroom.
Mm-hmm.
Or the portable showers for decon. Like, there's so many things. But what I think is really brilliant about the client is, even though they are absolutely slammed, they are thinking, what can we do now to position ourselves well for when all these kids' summer camps come back, and
Right.
when all these residential events come back, concerts, and so we're putting a lot of effort into creating new landing pages and redoing some features on the website, and amping up the organic presence of the site, even as we're spending more on paid to try to capture the market. So anything you can do to kind of position yourself for where you want to be when this is all over is a great move as well.
That is so important. I think
Yeah.
while it was proactive and it was responsible to have everything planned out, you would have your content calendar for the next 6 months with your themes. Companies really need to be more agile right now and
Mm-hmm.
more nimble and ready to take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Still staying true to the brand, but like you said, that window we're looking at now, we really don't know what's going to happen beyond 4 to 8 weeks from now.
Right.
So where are you going to be at that point if this continues, and where are you going to be if things open up again? But I think also people need to plan for this happening maybe on a rolling basis or a recurring basis.
I think so too. And speaking of agile specifically, keep your developers busy.
Yeah.
All those fun little features you wanted for the website that you couldn't get into the sprint because they didn't have enough story points to allocate, do it now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, especially in light of how consumer behavior is changing. I think
Mm,
you might even have a whole new to-do list.
right. You very well might. And if you don't, take this opportunity to dig into your analytics and do some analysis and figure out, okay, are there certain things that are working for us and aren't? I mean, I know a lot of times we really get stuck in that big picture thinking because we don't have the time to
Mm-hmm.
delve into the details. And now, if you're one of the businesses that is either shut down or semi shut down or moved to online only, like, these are all things that you could potentially do. If you have staff that's normally in store, maybe they could, you never know who your in-store people are. Maybe they have skills in development or
Mm-hmm.
in analysis. Especially now with the climate that we've been in terms of employment in the last, I guess, 5 years or so, there are probably a lot of people that were working in store for you that have other skills that you may not know about. Now
Absolutely.
would be the time to try and tap those. And if
Even
you're one of those employees who's been laid off, go to your employer and say, hey, I could do this for you.
mm-hmm. Yes, finding that way to help is going to be so
Mm-hmm.
important. And so for you, can you tell us how you can help companies through the Get Remote Ready platform if they're looking, they're not even sure what they need, or they're looking for a specific type of advice, or they're not even sure what the opportunity is going to be for them in a few months? How can you
Yeah.
help?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's not just me, it's all the people that are on the platform. We've a lot of us know each other, and so we've tried to kind of not duplicate each other's stuff too much. So there's help on getting your site mobile ready. I'm offering technical auditing to show you kind of what I look at when I'm doing a technical audit and give you a sort of live view of what is it that is going to move the needle the best for you. or what are the things that, maybe they're not going to move the needle now, but they're going to future-proof you for a later Google update or something like that. Don't have any crystal balls, but generally I can give some feedback on those best practices that I think are probably going to become even more important than they are now. And then I saw people offering, get started with your first paid campaign. I know, Miranda, you're offering the opportunity to help people just kind of figure out, what do I do now? How do I create content? Or even just simple as, how do I use Zoom?
Yes.
So.
Yes. And a big one has been just sitting down and in 15 minutes going over, because a lot of businesses have shut right down, and it's, what's available to you? What is available to your employees? How can you help them? Who can you contact to try and get a payment deferment or an abatement of some kind? And just working through that as a checklist, because people really don't even know where to start. Like, it's such a shock. I spoke to a restaurant owner yesterday who had gone in and opened up as usual in early March, and an hour and a half later got a phone call from the public health unit saying, close your doors, everyone has to leave right now. And
Wow.
I mean, it's a trauma, and it takes time to work through that. And so I think that's what we're trying to do at Get Remote Ready, is sort of be that guide to help people through this process, whatever it looks like in their circumstance. And it does look different for everyone. So
Well,
I'm very glad to have you on board.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be able to help in that way. And I think also something that we don't say enough is give yourself a break.
Yes.
I mean, if you're sitting here, if you're listening to us talk right now thinking, "Oh, I'd love to do that stuff, but I just have no motivation," or I'm still trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces after the health department shut my business down,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. You can take a minute and
Yes.
and self-care and make sure that you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your family and your health, and then come back with, refreshed attitude and renewed vigor to see what can you do next.
Right. You don't have
Sometimes,
to jump into a new course tomorrow
yeah,
and learn a
yeah,
new skill. That's not top of mind right now. It's basic needs and making sure that you put your own life jacket on first so you can
right, exactly.
help
Put
those
your
around you.
put your own life jacket on before assisting others, for
Yeah.
sure. And sometimes, if you take those moments to step away and to really evaluate how things are and how you'd like them to be, there can be moments of clarity in that. So if you're feeling a little lost, maybe just take the day off and read a book.
Yes.
Or if they'll let you out of your house, go for a walk, just something to disconnect a little bit.
That's super important. Well, thank you, Jenny. Thank you for joining me today.
It was my
If,
pleasure.
if anyone wants to learn more about Jenny, go to jlh-marketing.com. You can also check her out on getremoteready.com. You can join our office hours that we're hosting a few times a week, where you can drop in and ask questions. And other than that, we have lots of helpful resources on the website. Thank you, Jenny. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Miranda.